enjoyed your dinner and desserts this evening. And now it is my distinct pleasure, honor, and also surprise to introduce to you our guest speaker. I've known this young officer for many, many years now. I think he's a very fine man. I actually was there the day he was born. And I just am very surprised again to introduce our speaker. And I think our speaker will tell you why he's actually the speaker this evening and not the speakers who's listed in our program. So may I present to you very, very proudly Second Lieutenant Stephen Caceres, U.S. Military Academy, class of 2009.
I know you didn't expect to see me up here, right? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, veterans, members of our armed forces, and most especially, the Arizona cadets and midshipmen and your families. I am Lieutenant Steve Caceres of the great city of Scottsdale, Arizona. I am a West Point graduate, class of 2009, and I'm a military intelligence officer. I will be joining the 2nd Battalion, 506th Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne next month. For those of you who don't know what the battalion is, it's the one depicted in the Band of Brothers miniseries. So I very much look forward to going there next month. As you might have seen in your program, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Paul Lovelius was supposed to speak before you this evening to impart words of wisdom and professional development. However, due to the unpredictable weather that has plagued some of the nation, he's unable to be here with us tonight. Who would have thought that Texas would get 2 feet of snow at this time of year? Captain Lovelius, my former superior, course manager, and mentor while a student at the Military Intelligence Officer Basic course this past fall, has requested that I speak in his place. Coming from a recipient of both the Bronze Star and Purple Heart for his actions in combat in Iraq in 2005, I'm filled with the utmost humbleness and gratitude that he has selected me, a modest second lieutenant in the infancy of my Army career, to address you tonight. My mother joked with me several days ago that if I'm a good lieutenant, don't get any DUIs, and stay out of trouble the next few years, that perhaps one day I would be invited to speak at an all-academy ball. Well, less than 24 hours later, and a late night Christmas, here I am. In doing so, I quickly learned an important lesson about being a junior officer in the military. Change your mission, Lieutenant. Take charge. So I'm sorry to say that I do not possess the comforting tone of a parent or the diction of a renowned orator, nor do I have the practical and permanent real-life experiences to guide you in your military careers. For attempting to do so would be futile to you, as developing cadets and midshipmen, and insulting to those veterans here tonight who have served their country with honor. Rather, I ask that you lend me several minutes of your time, that I may speak to you about my experiences and the 3 most important concepts, in my opinion, that you need to understand as you prepare to be commissioned as an ensign or a second lieutenant. Humility, expectations of Academy graduates, and our role as leaders in the 21st century. When I entered West Point at the start of 2005, I was a young, brash 18-year-old who felt invincible. In some ways, I still do, about the Academy experience and how it would merely be an extension of my high school days. But I never could have been more wrong. Which cadet or midshipman among us can forget that day? The yelling, the humidity of the summer, the endless issue points, and that first night we went to sleep when we asked ourselves, what have I gotten myself into? However, after cadet basic training was completed and we entered into the academic year, my graphic grades quickly reflected the fact that I needed to become more disciplined in my study habits. First by quitting the addictive drug that many young adults know as Facebook. And due to the substance of the material that we were taught and the deadlines we had to meet, I felt the pressure compiling over time. Most disheartening for me personally was when my instructor would ask the class after completion of practice problems if there were any questions. I had the urge to ask about discrete dynamic modeling, and I legitimately wanted to learn the correct formulas. But my fear of embarrassment before my fellow classmates was a stronger sensation. Therefore, I asked no questions. Finally, one day I put aside my pride and went to see my math instructor, then Captain Todd Retchless, now Major Retchless, asking for additional instruction on Major's problem set. Instead of a negative reprisal from the decorated combat armor officer as I had feared, he he took me under his wing and worked through every single problem that I had first attempted on my own. And over the course of the next 3 weeks, I worked my grade from a lowly D to a C, a large accomplishment for a United States history major. Plus, C stands for commission and Caceres, so I guess I won both ways. And when I came in at the end of the semester to thank Captain Runchless for helping me pass, he replied, "Steve, I didn't help you pass. I merely gave you a skill set and some additional knowledge to help point you in the right direction. At some point, the burden of learning is on the student, and you accepted that. And the lesson I learned from this experience, besides the fact that you will never use discrete dynamic modeling in your life, despite what your instructors may say, is that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Rather, it's a sign of strength. Humility shows that we as development officers are willing and able to place our mission ahead of our pride. I say to all classes present, even the firstclassmen, many of whom are my friends, never be hesitant to ask your instructors or peers for help that you need in any facet of your professional development. Up until the day my classmates and I graduated, I was continually asking questions of my instructors and my peers. To the delight of some, more often than not to the annoyance of others. But there is always someone ready to prepare you to be an ensign or lieutenant, because believe me, you need to be ready to execute the unexpected duties of a second lieutenant when you take your oath of office. For example, I'd like to share with you one of my first experiences at the Military Intelligence Officer Basic course this past fall. My fellow lieutenants and I, one afternoon, were conducting a hypothetical exercise about conventional warfare and its tactics. Unbeknownst to us, General Martin Dempsey, the trained and doctrine commander for the United States Army, was visiting Fort Huachuca that day. While we were sitting in the classroom and drawing up battle plans to repel the Soviet tanks from crossing the Fulda Gap as if we still lived in 1980, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Captain Wade, our company commander. "Lieutenant Caceres," he said, "General Dempsey is here. We want you to talk to him about what you lieutenants are learning right now." And of course, you know, still in the cadet mood, I compulsively replied, "Yes, sir." But what I really thought to myself then was, I should have paid attention the past week and not gone out to Buffalo Wild Wings last night. I mean, 25-cent wing nights and PBR is pretty awesome, but no more than a few seconds later, I found myself staring at 4 stars on a pair of ACUs being worn by an aged veteran, surrounded by everyone in my chain of command, from the MI Corps commander, brigade commander, battalion commander, company commander, and their respective staffs. General Dempsey and I exchanged our cordial greetings and began to ask me questions about the material we were learning up to that point. The questions he asked me and the answers I gave to him are still unknown to me this day. I think I had a 3-minute blackout at some point, and that was probably because of Buffalo Wild Wings. But in any event, the thing I do remember from the conversation is when he asked, "Where were you commissioned from, Steve?" "West Point, sir," I replied. "I thought so," he said. "Why is that, sir?" "Because the way you carry yourself, young man." What General Dempsey told me that day, when I came to realize while I was interacting with new enlistees, the non-commissioned officers, my fellow lieutenants as well as my superiors, is that since I've been commissioned, so much is expected of us as Academy graduates. Firstclassmen, it's appropriate that tonight's celebration is entitled Golden Opportunity. It is symbolic of the commission you will receive in just short 5 months' time, and the great expectations that come along with it. After your basic course is complete, you will understand.